Hi, Martin.
Hello.
I'm glad to see you here, and I am going to explain how to use AnyLingo for learning
Hmm.
English. I need to share my screen. Let me to
Okay.
share my screen. Okay. Uh, AnyLingo is a new approach to learning languages, and it is the first and only application in the language industry which uses implicit subconscious training. What it does and how it works, I will explain you by simply demonstrating any
Hmm.
link. When you open it for the first time, you see here the explanations, and you can read more about how to create lessons, how to manage content, how to use translation, how to use read aloud, drill exercises, recording, and so on. So it is a unique application which comes with only a sample of lessons
Hmm.
which you may use or delete. So I may say that AnyLingo comes with 0 lessons and possibility to create unlimited number of lessons
Hmm.
which will be created by you according to your language level and according to your interests. So if I click on the content, the first button, you see here my lessons. When you subscribe to it and log in to your account, you will see those lessons, sample lessons, and here the most important button, create a new lesson. You don't need to use all those lessons. They are shown as an example, but
Okay.
you can create your new lesson by clicking on this button. Keep in mind that it is explained here how to create your lesson. You have to use, here are examples of prompts which you have to use to create those lessons. For example, you may create a 400 word beginner level English story inspired by the book The Alchemist. And
Hmm.
this lesson would be created in any AI engine. I use mostly for that Copilot because it is free. It is a free extension to Edge web browser, and you create the lesson in that AI engine and then copy and paste it into AnyLingo. I have already created a lesson for you, and let's we go to content, and here's your lesson: why AI created personal lessons are inefficient. And when we go to the top, you see here the button translation. Click on it, and here you determine that lesson is in English, and we need to translate it into Spanish.
Okay. In my mother tongue.
So now we click translate. Here you see that every sentence in English is translated into Spanish. You can scroll it and read every sentence in English and in your native language. You do it for because you want to understand and to make it comprehensible. You mentioned about comprehensible input. We make the lesson which you have created comprehensible to you. And to do that, you use sentence by sentence translation. You work on it, you prepare yourself, and when you read the translation, you do not memorize each word translated from English to Spanish. You
Mhm.
visualize the picture, and then when you will read English, you will understand it because you have created a kind of a video in your mind, and we will work in that with that video. So that is the first drill which I recommend. But now, if we click on the button drills, we see that AnyLingo has 5 drills which are used with every lesson.
Mhm.
Let's follow them one by one. In drill 1, listen and follow. What that means is you, when you click on listen and follow, it uses the read aloud function, which creates audio file, and you can listen to it. When you listen to it, you do not try to understand everything, whatever you understand, and then all other drills will help you to first understand the whole text, secondly, to work on it, and thirdly, to internalize, that is, to remember it and to develop it as a new skill of speaking English automatically.
Mhm.
So if I will click on the start button, it will start reading. But I want to show you something else. Here is the button read aloud function. Read aloud will create the audio file. And when you click on it, it determines that your lesson is in English, and it gives you the option to select the speech rate. It is extremely important to select a speech rate by 25% slower than the native speech, than the regular English conversation, because you are a beginner learner and your main drill in AnyLingo will be, I will demonstrate it in a minute, to read the text in English, listen to this recording in special English, because this slow speech rate has a name. It's called special English, and speak at the same time. If you will read this speech rate one, it would be very difficult for you to understand it and repeat. That's
Mhm.
why it's very important to select this speech rate. Now, let's start listening.
Learning a new language is exciting, but it can also feel difficult. Many apps today use AI to create personalized lessons. These lessons look modern and helpful, but they often do not build real fluency. To understand why, we need to look at how the brain learns a language.
Uh, do you hear the sound?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Do you hear the sound?
Yeah, yes. Perfect.
Okay. So you can pause at any time. You can start at the beginning by clicking the button start and it will start again.
Okay.
This is the first introduction. What is most important to understand that first, it is special English. And secondly, any lesson which you create will have this audio file. It is created by AnyLingo application automatically. Now, if we understand this, let's go to the next drill. Drill 2. Highlight and translate. This drill allows you again to work on the text. After you have listened to it, you determine that maybe some of the sentences or phrases you didn't understand. And now you can use another version of translation and translate it into your native language so you visualize and understand it. So first of all, you click Enable Highlighting. And now imagine that you don't know the sentence. You do not quite understand what it means. You highlight it and you immediately get translation. You work with it, but you do not try to memorize the word skill or fluency or any other words as translation into Spanish. You understand the meaning of it by reading this and visualizing the action which is described in this sentence. After you completed working with this paragraph, you close it. You can read further. And if you found something else which you don't know, for example, this part, any part, you click translate and it will be translated. So there are two types of translation, sentence by sentence at the beginning. I have shown it to you. And this highlight and translate. Support in the native language, in your case Spanish, is extremely important because it makes a lesson comprehensible. If it is not comprehensible, you cannot do anything with it.
Exactly.
It will not work. You understand it. So that is the second drill. Now let's go to the third drill. I must tell that third drill is the most important one because it's the main essence of AnyLingo. AnyLingo is actually drill 3. All the others preparation. Read the text in English, listen to the recording, and speak simultaneously. These 3 actions do one wonderful thing. They automatically activate your subconscious mind. All methods which you used before use so-called conscious learning or memorization translation method. You cannot learn a language and become fluent if you use conscious learning. Unfortunately, 99.8% of all methods which are described on internet use conscious learning. This is the first and only application which uses subconscious. And how it does it? Our brain has a capacity to do 1 or 2 actions concurrently. It is not designed for multitasking. If you perform 3 actions, reading, listening, and speaking, it automatically goes into a different mode of processing information. Namely, it activates subconscious. A teacher cannot, uh, unfortunately, use a subconscious training. He cannot tell students to use subconscious training. Only you, as a learner, can activate subconscious training by performing three actions at the same time. And now let me demonstrate how it is done. So when we click on the button Start,
learning a new language is exciting, but it can also feel difficult. Many apps today use AI to create personalized lessons. These lessons look modern and helpful, but they often do not build real fluency. To understand why,
now I've just allowed you to listen to the first sentence. And now I will demonstrate you the drill three, which is reading, listening, and speaking. It may sound a bit confusing because you never heard it. And this is so-called simultaneous repetition was never used before. So just listen to it and then you may try to do it on your own.
we need to look at how the brain learns a language. Fluency is a skill,
Fluency
not
is
a
a
list of
skill,
facts.
not a list of facts.
It grows in your procedural
It grows
memory,
in your
the part of the
procedural
brain that
memory,
learns
the
automatic
part of the
actions.
brain
You use
that
procedural
learns
memory when you
automatic.
ride a bike, type
Your
on a
procedural
keyboard,
memory
or drive a car.
is used when you
You
write
do
a
not
file,
think about
type
every
on a
small
keyboard,
step.
or drive a car.
Your brain learns the pattern through
Your
repetition and real
brain
use.
learns the pattern through
AI-created
repetition
lessons do not
and
effectively
real
train
use.
this part of the brain. They
AI
usually
created
offer
lessons do
pre-written
not effectively
sentences,
train this part
vocabulary
of the brain.
lists, or
They
short
usually
dialogues. These
offer
materials are clean and
pre-written
correct, but
sentences,
they are not your
vocabulary list,
ideas.
or short
They do not
dialogue.
come from your life, your interest, or
Okay,
Do you
I have a question.
understand how it is done?
Okay, I have a question in this part. I need to
A little
read.
bit louder, Martin.
Sorry?
Speak a little bit louder.
Okay. I have a question for this part. I need to read and listen and speak at the same time.
Correctly.
Okay. Perfect.
One thing also to remember, you should always use headset. You cannot use it as a background or driving or something. It is a very special method. It uses a different type of processing information that is subconscious, and it uses a different type of memory. And that's why you have to do those three actions at the same time. Keep in mind that repetition was known before and was used and still used by some teachers, but there is a huge difference. When you do normal, regular repetition, you listen first. You try to remember the sentence and then to repeat it. So you perform only one or two actions, which means that you are in conscious learning. Conscious learning, it is memorization. You cannot remember it. That's why repetition, which is used for 100 years, is not effective because repetition does not develop automaticity in your brain.
Exactly.
Only simultaneous repetition can do it. You understand it?
Yeah.
So let's start again. And I want you to follow uh, the first paragraph again, and I will show you again. Listen how it is done.
Learning a new language is
Learning a new
exciting,
language is
but it can
exciting, but
also
it
feel
can also
difficult.
feel difficult.
Many apps today
Many
use
apps
AI to
today
create
use AI
personalized
to create
lessons.
personalized lessons.
These lessons
These
look
lessons
modern and
look modern
helpful,
and
but they
helpful,
often do
but they
not
often
build
do
real
not bring
fluency.
real fluency.
To
To
understand why,
understand
we
why,
need to look
we
at
need to
how the
look at
brain learns
how
a
the
language.
brain is learning a language.
Fluency is a
To save time and to explain everything rest in detail, I stopped here, and I hope that you understand this is the main drill. And this is what will give you first correct pronunciation. Secondly, it develops in your brain ability to listen automatically and speak automatically. That's why you will have a real fluency, which is after regular lessons with AnyLingo are pretty close to the fluency of native speakers. But you must follow all those drills. The next drill, record and compare. When you have this lesson, and after multiple repetitions, you will be able to repeat easily, to understand it easily, and actually to internalize. This word means to absorb language patterns which are in this lesson, and you will be able to use them automatically without remembering or recalling. And when you have done multiple repetitions, you can record your own pronunciation and share it with your friends or with a teacher or a guide who helps you to learn English. Start recording. Learning a new language is exciting, but it can also feel difficult. Many apps today use AI to create personalized lessons. These lessons look modern and helpful, but they often do not build real fluency. To understand why, we need to look at how the brain learn a language. Stop recording. Of course, I just show you as an example. Now let's start recording. Learning a new language is exciting, but it can also feel difficult. Many apps today use AI to create personalized lessons. These lessons look modern and helpful, but they often do not build real fluency. To understand why, we need to look at how the brain learn a language. Now, you see here the button Save Recording. If you click on this button, it opens the window and gives you the option to save this lesson and then to share it. Okay, that
Okay.
is drill. That is drill 4. And now we come to something totally different. Develop fluency. Do you know the word fluency? Do you understand what fluency means?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
Uh, Fluency is a very important characteristic.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, not many teachers understand that fluency is most important for communication. When you learn a language, you as a beginner learner, do you think how many words per minute you can produce? Do you have an answer to this question, Martin?
No, no, I don't know.
Here is the issue. As a beginner learner, you can produce about 30 or 40 words per minute. It's
Okay.
very low. That's why you do not understand when you are listening. That's why you cannot speak fluently because your fluency rate or fluency speech rate is very low. To pass standardized tests, luckily you don't need it, but there are millions of learners who try to pass standardized tests. You must have fluency speech rate of about 150 words per minute. It means that you have to produce 2 or 3 words per second.
Okay.
This 500% increase in fluency speech rate is not possible to achieve through traditional methods. That's why you have learned English for so many years and you are still at the beginner level because you don't blame yourself. The methods which existed and which are used by traditional language teachers are obsolete. They do not allow us to develop fluency and to achieve the fluency rate of at least 120 words per minute. To do this, we have developed a special way of assessment or measuring fluency. We use flow speech fluency testing, which is built into AnyLingo application. And by the way, I recommend you to use assessment at the very beginning. You have to determine to measure your fluency speech rate to understand how we will measure it regularly. And then you will see your progress measured quantitatively. You will increase, I hope, in about a month of regular work with AnyLingo, your fluency by 10 or maybe 20 words per minute. How this assessment works. There are two types of assessment. One is based on the context of the lesson. It creates a special dictionary. It selects the words from that dictionary randomly and displays it on the screen. When you see the word on the screen, group, for example, and you click Start Recording, you have to speak from your experience. If you understand what the group means, you speak about anything automatically without thinking, without analyzing. For example, I think that we have to learn a language in a small group when you can work in pairs and use any lingo, and in a small group, maybe 10 or up to 15 students. Actually, any student in a small group can use headsets and read, listen, and repeat at the same time concurrently. There is not a single method on internet or in the language industry that will allow to do that. So on and so forth. Doesn't matter what you say. Whatever you say when I click start recording, will be recorded here and measured how many words you produce. Then you click next word appear, so on and so forth. After you have to create such stories about 20 words. It will take only about 15 minutes. And at the end of this testing, it will calculate by measuring how many words you pronounce. They will be shown here in this window and measuring the time you spoke. For example, it will show you maybe at the beginning you have 40 words per minute. If you don't know the words, you click unknown and the next word will be displayed. Then at the end, the whole flow speech fluency testing will show your speech rate, will show your level of English, your quality of grammar and pronunciation.
Okay.
That is explanation. Do you understand this explanation? And then I will demonstrate it how it works.
Yeah, yeah, completely.
You understand it?
Yeah.
Uh, Group. I like to work in groups because in a small group, every student using a headset can practice English concurrently with all other students and show that his progress in developing fluency or automaticity is moving forward. Stop it. And so here are the words which I've used, and the next word appears. So I click history. Is very important when you are looking for a new way of learning a language. You go to history of traditional methods, and you would find that all of them, irrespective of the name, actually there are 30 methods of learning English, but all of them use the same memorization translation approach, which is obsolete. It's ineffective for developing fluency. Now, game. You probably heard about Duolingo. It is a
Yeah.
game-based approach to learning. And you can find a lot of articles on internet which tell us that it is not actually a learning application. It is a game, and they made it fun and addictive. So people can use any Duolingo for 1,000 days and still not being able to speak fluently because Duolingo has a wrong mechanism, the wrong pedagogy. So on, so forth, line and so on. Now, if I will just do unknown all other lessons, I want to show you what will happen when we'll come to do all the lessons. So I have answered only a few lessons, so my no level is 15 words, but my word per minute is 93.5. Above 90, it is the B2 level already, and you can work effectively and you will understand, comprehend, listening, you will be able to speak, you will be able to work in that country, in English-speaking country, remotely or in person, if you achieve the speech rate of 90 and above.
Mhm.
So you now understand how to measure it. And we, in essence, covered the most part of AnyLingo. There is one other thing I will just mention, but it's not for you. It is so-called hybrid. A hybrid is for teachers because I
Okay.
want that, and I want to stress that the AnyLingo is designed as a self-learning application. Everything is here for self-learning. However, experience had shown us that although it is for self-learning, but because the paradigm or the mechanism or the pedagogy of AnyLingo is so much different that without explanation, it would be very difficult to use. That's why we suggest to use hybrid. Try to find a teacher that will understand AnyLingo and will help guide you. That's why we try to explain to teachers that it is much easier to use it and it is much better to use because in traditional hybrid teacher-led lessons are ineffective. Here we use learner-generated AI personalized lessons. Learning method in traditional method, it is called rote memorization. It's inefficient. We have a very high forgetting rate. Any lingo hybrid uses subconscious pattern acquisition. Personalization. All traditional methods use one size fits all. Here we use hyper personalized learning path that allows you to create lessons according to your level and to your interests. Retention. In traditional hybrid, high forgetting rate, retention is very low. And even if you can remember something, it's actually useless for communication because this type of memory has a very slow recall. You cannot recall words which you memorize and produce 2 or 3 words for conversation because your recall is so slow that even memorizing would be useless. Here, rapid, durable internalization and creating patterns and skill of speaking automatically. For teacher workload, here teachers are overloaded. They have to create lessons, they have to chat, to grade, to talk, to do a lot of things. And actually now we experience a lack of teachers because it's so difficult that many teachers actually quit their job. Using any lingo, zero preparation, zero content creation. You only coach, you help, you create, you answer questions which your students might have.
Mhm.
That's why it's a completely different approach. That's all what I was going to explain to you. And now maybe you have questions, then you are welcome to ask questions.